is a great example of how consolidation occurs in the tech industry. Do you think that there will be similar consolidation around generative AI in terms of a dominant, a clearly dominant leader, or is it going to be more dispersed?
I think it will be slightly more dispersed. I think that there's a couple of factors that come into play. One, these models are very expensive to build.
Yep.
Right? They're building $100 million models right now. I know of a few companies that are planning billion-dollar models, and they're right now they're planning and working on the billion-dollar model, but the $10 billion model isn't too far behind. So in terms of pools of capital that can fund this kind of learning, it's more than just one, but it's not 100 either, right? We're not going to build 100 $10 billion models. I don't think. Maybe we will over time, but certainly not present day. And you need a fair amount of expertise and specialization to be able to actually successfully build a model of that size. So I don't think it will be infinite. I do think that there's room for half a dozen to a dozen players. And I subscribe to the theory that what we'll see is the knowledge, the type of reasoning they can do in the background will be largely commoditized. There'll be a lot of things that are the same, which, by the way, it was true of search too, right? Like something like we would do different analysis, and somewhere between 95 to 97% of queries would have the same first result on Google and other places, or the results would be 97% the same. It's that last 3%, which it turns out, that's, a lot of people do 30 searches a day, and if one search out of that 30 is markedly better, that builds a lot of staying power, sticking power, confidence in your tool. Right. If you think of it as like a medical tool where you're like, wait, 3% of the time I get a markedly better outcome, you might say, well, it's only 3%, but that starts to really add up over time. And so I do think that they'll be largely commoditized, and then there'll be the personalities that interact with you, because more and more as these technologies suggest writing for us, suggest how we are going to express ourselves, represent us into the world, you're going to want to feel really comfortable with the way this AI talks to you, the way it talks on your behalf and interacts. And so I think over time, what you'll see is an evolution towards, people will be like, oh, like I like Google's agent. Oh, I like Microsoft's agent. Like, oh, I like, ChatGPT, or some of these other agents where they'll be like, I like the way that this assistant assists me, and I like the way that this technology interacts with me and on my behalf.
Right, right.